Welcome to Sports Check. It is the final Monday of May 2025, the 26th day to be precise. And yes, it's a day when we've got stories to cover around the world of sport. There is a launch of this current Open, which is a squash tournament, and that is going to be part of what we are covering today, and also keeping tabs on a local sport. Also, we shall be having a conversation around swimming, because Aquatics Kenya is going to be hosting the national championships on over the weekend, and this is at the Moi International Sports Center Kasarani swimming pool. It is the one standard swimming pool that we've got, a 50-meter pool that can be used, to have athletes qualify for the World Championships that are slated for Singapore from the 27th of July to the 4th of August. So that is just part of the conversation that we are going to be having. And also, in just over a week, we're going to be having another edition of the Nairobi Fight Nights. And this takes place every first Tuesday of the month. And this time round, we're going to be having about 8 bouts on the cards, and we've got some of the boxers who, have had the opportunity to compete there, and they will be back. And I would like to introduce 2 of them. I'm going to be bringing the third one, our third guest, much later. But before that, our sign language interpreter, Lensa Odingo. So I'm going to start with a coach, a man who makes sure that the athletes are ready. Ibrahim Orondo, he's on my far left. Good morning to you, coach.
Good morning.
Yes, and also one of the boxers who is going to be at that event, Dalmas Chalo, is going to be competing also at the Nairobi. He's a regular now at the Nairobi Fight Night. Dalmas, good morning to you.
Good morning.
All right. Let me start with you, Coach
Yes.
Ibrahim, because when we know that some time back, there was a time when
pro boxing was on the rise at around 04, 05, all the way to around 2009. But now we are seeing it, this coming back. So what have you seen go through, the changes that have that you've seen go through over time?
Yes, the period you've mentioned, the earlier, there was injection of young blood in the likes of Okwiri coming from the amateur scene, getting in, and they came in with a lot of energy. And as this is a reincarnation of the same system, as we are coming up with new and young boxers who are injecting fresh blood, fresh energy into the professional scene. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And for these young boxers, there are always 2 conversations that are said. One, you either start young and decide, let me have a good amateur career, and then decide to turn pro. But we also know that, the amateur game now even has money, and a lot of it.
Yes.
The other option is compete either at an Olympic Games, a Commonwealth Games, pick that, and if you get past that, then you move on to pro boxing. What are the transitions that you are seeing? Because I'm looking at the boxers we have here, they're much younger now.
Yes, the transition is based on consultation between boxers and coaches. And I think that we gauge from the depth of the boxer. Boxers who have got the depth to go the distance, we just advise them to transit earlier than later. Because as you rightfully say, to get to the apex of the amateur, maybe when you're participating in the Olympics, it will take time for each and every boxer to get to the Olympics. So at this time, we think that it's best to tap into the talent when it's good and ready for action.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, let me just now bring in the boxers here, and also like to introduce on my immediate left. He's not a manager, but he is, but it's his style. So he's not the people managing them, but he's also a boxer by the name of Samuel Kugeluk, also known as Mufasa in the boxing circles. I'll be coming to you. Dalmas,
Yeah.
Let me come to you, because Dalmas, you're going to be fighting next week in the featherweight division. So this is the 57 kg division. Just give us a background, of your amateur time in the amateur boxing and deciding to turn pro now.
Nilianza
ongea Kiswahili, ni lugha pia ya taifa.
Nilianza amateur nikiwa young, pale Mdhurwa Dallas, Dallas Machinery. Nikaicheza, nikakuja nikacheza intermediate na novices. Nikabeba hiyo championship. Ilikuwa back 2019.
Ilikuwa novices ya Nairobi na nationals.
Yeah. Yeah. Back 2019. Nikabeba hiyo, ilikuwa nacheza flyweight 51 kgs. Ndio nikakuja nikaturn pro last year. Yeah.
Sasa tukiangalia saa hii hiyo division yako, ukianza huko chini fedha kupanda ndio uanze kupanda hiyo division, una hiyo competition iko namna gani?
Competition iko tu sawa. Amacha ilikoga bit tough kidogo. Katika bado maboxa alikuwa wengi nini. Unapata hapo amacha tukienda kama magame hivi, unapata kwa siku unacheza kama game 2-3. Yeah.
By the and Kenya Open ulicheza?
Kenya Open? No.
Yo uliruka?
Niruka.
Okay, let me come to you, Kogaluk, and looking at, you compete in this the middleweight division. That's a very competitive division when it comes to the sports. I mean, we're talking about the power and the speed. Just take us through your career.
My career, I started quite late. Nilianza nikiwa 23. That's 4 years down the line. So sasa niko 27. I'm almost turning 28. So I participated in intermediate on 2024 hapo nikabeba. So
that is last year.
That is 2024 is last year.
It's last year.
Last year.
2023.
Calendar
2023. Yeah, so nikabeba position, first position. After hapo nikacheza league kidogo, then I saw that the pros were calling me. Nikasema, let me see if there's something good huko, and that's how I turned last year.
And let's just talk about what you found in the amateur scene, because you moving from the intermediate, that's a transition, novices, intermediate, and you were doing it in the league. Just take us through this, your experiences in the league 23, 24.
So the reason why I got into the league, I had a goal maybe to get a job from it, because most of the boxers get hired from it. Kenya Police, KDF, prisons, but then there's in the amateurs there's a lot of competition. So before you get to position 1, kuna kazi, and years go by. So nikasema, let me just turn to pro.
So what was your weight class then?
My weight class was, I used to play 80-86 cruiserweight.
Cruiserweight?
Yeah.
Lakini the number of cruiserweights, I mean, when I look at the cruiserweights that we have in the country, I mean, there are few, we can count them.
Yeah, we have Maganga, yeah, but the competition is really tough. The punches at cruiserweight aren't that light.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think, Coach, this is what they say, that if it lands very well, I mean, if you throw in that punch, you're able to, I mean, for example, he's talking about the punches there, cruiserweight, you're talking 86 kgs.
Yeah.
Ideally, if it lands proper, it should be 83, it should land at 43, half your weight.
Yeah. Around there, depending on the person throwing the punch. I think that rightfully said, the punches there are heavy, and if you're caught on spot, the right punch at the right time, the timing, I think that to recover from it, it takes quite some character. Yeah.
Well, and now let's talk about preparing these boxers here, for example. Now because right now you're competing in the super middle, right?
The super middle, yeah.
In the super middle, which means that what has been that change? Because I'll also like to hear from Coach about how that changes. Yeah. Because you've got to shed a little bit of the weight, but the power has to stay.
Yeah. So 86 was weighing me down back then. So I decided to come to 76, lose 10 kgs with the help of my Coach Boneface from Hope Gym. He helped me a lot reduce that weight to a place where I'm now fast, comfortable, and now I can move around the ring. yeah, it's more manageable.
Coach, what's that transition point for somebody who wants to go down? Because he basically went down 2 divisions.
Yeah, there's things that you need to consider, because a transition like that needs some time. It needs time, because when you do it too quick, the boxer will have the fatigue and lose power. And for truth be said, they'll not have the gas to go the distance in the bout. So it needs, it takes a lot of time to, because it's gradual, and a lot of conditioning to go with it. Yeah.
So just tell us, I mean, how you would, how long did it take you to lose the 10 kgs?
It took me almost 6 months, yeah.
6 months?
Yes.
Which means then you're out of competition throughout.
Yeah.
So this transition, such that you make sure that you still have the gas, what are the things that you do, including the diet?
There's sessions where you purely deal with strength and conditioning. Now, as coaches, we give maybe 20 to 25%, because that's what can be done in the gym. But for endurance, the boxer has to do a lot of road work, which we don't normally accompany them. We just advise for them to do twice a week, 1 short and 1 long. And that would work, because when you do that, it shakes down the weight. When we come to the strength and conditioning exercises in the gym, then the weight starts getting to its place. Yeah.
Okay. Dalmas, kuje kwako tuambie hiyo maneno yako. I know the language you use, tunaenda kuchapa rodi. Those long runs. Tupatie tu siku moja yako ya mazoezi kama boxer sasa, professional boxer.
Kama mimi professional boxer, asubuhi nikiamka napiga long road work.
Kilomita kama ngapi hivi?
Pia kama 4 hivi. Naingia zoezi, naingia prison na train asubuhi. Kuanzia saa 2 hadi saa 5. Naenda na rest kidogo. Saa 8 ndio naingia gym. Yeah.
Tuelezee sasa, umesema prisons, unafanyia prisons?
Yeah, asubuhi. Morning.
Prisons wapi?
Which prison? Pale Kaloleni.
Kaloleni.
Yeah. Wana trainiaga hapo. Nendaga na train na wao asubuhi. Yeah, shadow boxing kidogo, school boxing hapo kidogo. Yeah.
Gym work, hebu tuelezee, umeshakimbia, umeongea kuhusu ya maneno ya gym. Tuelezee kuhusu hiyo gym, about keeping your weight. Sababu sasa division yako nikiangalia featherweight, hapo sasa already umeshaongeza kilo kama 6 kutoka fly, si ndio?
Yeah.
So around 57 kg, tuambie ndio uweze ku maintain hiyo.
Back then nilikuwa nacheza bantam. Yeah. Nikakuja nikaona hiyo bantam pia kukata hiyo weight, ku maintain hapo hiyo bantam ni ngumu kidogo. Napata ndio nicheze hiyo bantam lazima nikate weight. Na nikifika pale kwa ring napata sina hiyo power. Yeah, katika nimekata hiyo weight sana. Nikakuja nikaona acha nipande hapo juu kidogo fedha. Hapo juu sana niko sawa na maintain vizuri sana. Yeah, kuna hiyo power.
Ndio ukwe nayo na speed pia uko nayo.
Yeah, na speed pia niko nayo.
Well, and but if you want to fully understand, what he's talking about, the bantamweight division, it's up to about 53.5 kilos, and when you talk about the featherweight division, you're moving up to around 57.2 kgs. Now, and coach, this is what I'd like you to bring in. What's that little difference, especially in these lower weight classes?
Yeah.
Where Chalo is, because these people, I mean, we see them fight and they are fast.
Yeah.
They are very, very fast, but 2 kgs makes a whole difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, at times, we have to make a balance. You have to know your boxer well. When there's reduction in weight, there's going to be some loss in power. And you put in the speed, because power is transient. Power is transient. On a good day, you'll have power. On a bad day, it will not work for you. But the speed, I think that's the game breaker in the lower weight categories. If you're able to take your chances faster, move faster, execute faster, think faster, move faster, then you'll be a complete boxer in the lower weight categories. That's maybe light welter going down. But speed, I think that applies across the board. Even if you look at the cruiserweights internationally, they are quite fast. They're quite fast. So as coaches, we've had that challenge of trying to bridge the gap, because we are not preparing our boxers only for local bouts. We want them to go internationals. We want them to go. And I've seen Kogelok box. He's got the speed. He's got the depth. I know he'll go places. I think that these two boxers are promising. They'll go places. They've got time on their side. They've got the skill on their side. It's just a little sharpening, more marketing from the mainstream, and I think that they'll go places.
Okay, let me come to you, Kogeluk. Just take me through a normal day for you, whenever you are training.
A normal day for me in camp starts like this. I do my road work, and by 6, I'm at the gym.
What's the distance you run? Because I know there are those who do 10 kilometers. I mean, he's got a Muhammad Ali. Ali used to do crazy distances. Muhammad Ali, t-shirt on. But he would do 15 Ks in very terrible conditions.
So I'm a Kale, but I consider myself a very lazy runner. So I only do 5 kilometers, 6 kilometers as I head to the gym. I mix it with some sprints, and then I go to the gym. So at the gym, you do from 6 to 9, that's almost 3 hours, doing some bag work and some light cardio. Then I go rest, come back at 12 to 3, go rest, come back at 6 to around 8. Yeah, so I have 3 sessions in a day.
Okay, and one of the things that I've always seen with boxers is the love for the skipping rope. Coach, just give us the insights about how people got into, the skipping rope.
Skipping rope is one of the best exercises in the gym, because it goes across the board. You work your shoulders, you work your abs, you work your legs at the same time. Skipping rope helps in agility, it helps in the footwork, it helps in gas, it helps in a lot. It's more aerobical. So, the sport of boxing, aerobics is a very big part of the sport of boxing, because you have to give punches in tight angles, look for punches from weird positions. Yeah, I think that the skipping rope does them a lot of help in the sport of boxing. Yeah.
Okay. Sam, let's talk about another aspect of boxing that I always see is how you weave and bob. Na pia Dalmas utatuambia, such that you're uko na hiyo movement, you can avoid the punches. I remember watching I think it was a Fatuma Zarika fight where her opponent, actually the punches went slow down. She threw 18 punches, none landed, and all that she was doing was weave and bob. Just tell us about how you go around that.
So it requires a lot of training to miss those punches. As you've heard people say, boxing is a sport where you should hit and not get hit. So we try and minimize the damage as much as possible. We have to train it. You have to train the sleeps, the rolls, and everything, so that we apply it in the ring.
And Chalo, hebu tuambie hiyo training wakati uliingia boxing. So umeanza novice, intermediate, so you have gone through that and you've seen how people try and get land those punches.
Yeah, kama venye best yangu hapa amesema, kujituma tu, lakini mambo na footwork hapo kidogo nini, kwa wingi hapo, skipping, jumping bado. Yeah.
Na tuambie vizuri Chalo,
yeah,
sasa kuhepa hizi movement ambazo mwenzako ambaye makonde anafika, lakini lazima sasa unajua nataka ifike hapa kwenye shavu ndio uende pale, kwa lugha yenu mnasema wanataka ulewe.
Jo.
Wanataka ulewe apate KO. Lakini tuelezee ili kuepuka haya makonde.
Kwa boxing mtu utaka sana, lazima utake kuituja maana usitake kuchape. Yeah. Lazima utake umsome movement yake, umsome hii punch akitaka kuirusha. Yeah. Lazima tu uko msharp, una think fast. Unamsoma tu yani, bado itaki hasira. Ukiwa na hasira pia ni rahisi sana kupatikana. Yeah. Utaka una relax. Unasoma jamaa. Unaona movement yake. Yeah.
Well, Mufasa, Sam, Mufasa, that's his nickname. But where did that name come from?
It came from Lion King. I admired his character and I decided to pick it up.
So you gave yourself that?
I gave myself that, but most people in the gym call me the boogeyman. I don't know why.
That's got everything to do with dancing. Now, Dalmas,
Yeah.
Where nickname ulishapata? Najua coach wako alikuwa anaitwa the silent killer. Kilo. Ujapata?
Bado sijapata.
Every boxer I know, I mean, at pro level, everyone seems to have a nickname that comes in. And this is where I'd like, coach, when you're taking them through these paces, we always see, for example, when you're trying to get them to strike the pads, and we see you,
Yeah.
swing your arms around. Just take us through that motion. You can actually demonstrate it.
Yeah. When you training the boxer for head movement and all different types of movement, you present a target which looks easy. Then you have a challenging hand. So he has to take and not be caught. So you can tell him jab rock, you jab and swipe at him. Jab duck, he jab and let him roll under, and then he hits the target again. Jab duck, jab, he hits, you go for him, he comes back in with the second attack. Now that helps with their reflex. You have to do it frequently. Even in open pad work, when his guard is low, you have to give an offensive attack at him, because to move him out of the comfort zone. Yeah, those drills are good and have helped a lot of boxers. And you see that the more you work with your boxer, the more he'll be stylish and make a brand out of himself in that front.
And actually, this the thing about style, and this is where and actually there is a demonstration that we can already see, and we know this is from
Police depot.
Police depot. So actually, now coach, you can actually now take us through that. Giving an analysis so that anybody who goes to watch a fight can see where the coach has been.
Yeah.
Has been doing the boxer.
Yeah. Now, you're seeing that he's trying to help the boxer, who I believe is Christian, Hungary, give four punch with a hook, 4-punch combinations, 3-punch combinations and 4-punch combinations, mixing them up. Yeah. A right, left, right, and a 4-punch combination. Yeah.
Aya, Chalo, sparring sessions zako hebu tuelezee. Because sasa hapa tunaona pia kuna moja hapa. Because hapo sasa ndio unazoea.
Yeah. Sparring sasa kama sasa hivi venye tunacheza professional pro boxing. Sparring unafaa kunazipiga kwa wingi sana. Yeah.
Kama kwa wiki moja unafaa kunapiga session kama ngapi hivi?
Kwa wiki ni mob sana coach.
Kwa sababu sasa hiyo ni session yako ya jioni.
Yes, session ya jioni. Yes, asubuhi. Session ya jioni. Like tuseme kila siku tu. Lazima sparring. Yeah. Daily.
Na ukiangalia unaspa na bondia kwa uzani upi? Which way tunaangalia? Kwa sababu sasa wewe tunaona kwa saa hii umeenda feather, unatumia mtu ambaye ako light weight ama unatumia mtu wako bantam?
bantam, lightweight, iko tu sawa. Anyone. Mimi nasemaga mtu yote ule na gain kwake na pia na gain kwangu. Anyone ule.
Lakini nikakuuliza nani una prefer kwa sababu mtu wa lightweight uzani ni mzito?
Yeah, uzani ni mzito pale.
Ako mbele yako na about 4 kilos.
Yeah.
Na pia unajua speed yake almost same pale.
Kwa bantam nasaidia na speed, ku counter punches, nini. Kuja hapa kwa lightweight inakusaidia kutake punch. Unazoea kutake punch. Unapata ukipatana na weight yako hapa hivi umezoea. Yeah. Umezoea kutake hiyo punch, unapata haitakudhuru vile sana. Yeah.
So, let me come to you now and let's talk about your division, the super middleweight division.
Yes.
Who are you training with? Because I think for the last 10 or so years it's been the super division, basically sold by Canelo.
By Canelo, yes.
Saul Alvarez.
Yeah.
He's sold that division alone, but and I think also there was Triple G, Gennady Golovkin.
Triple G also there.
Yes. So they were there and they would say, whenever they fight with somebody, they would say, this is not a middleweight. But here it is. We're talking about 73 kg people, but here you are dealing 76.
Yeah. Okay, so when I turned pro, my message was quite simple. I've come to take over. I'm not here to take part, I'm here to take over. That is my main message to the pro in middleweight, and I can play super middle and I can also play in the middleweight division. Yeah, so for my sparring, I spar with super heavies from 92 and above, heavyweights, and people who are at 69. Yeah, right there. Anything below that, it becomes a bit of bullying.
Okay, 69, and because this is, coach, they say middleweight is where there's a pure transition of power and speed.
Yes.
And why is that?
I think that I look at it from the perspective that many guys who are in the middleweight have tried the higher weights. So they've had that power and adjusted the weight. So you'll find a lot of heat in that weight category. That weight category has got a lot of heat. Yeah, and I think that the nature of the middleweights from time immemorial, they've always been big punchers. So anybody going into that weight prepares themselves adequately for that action.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for you, why are you looking at the 69 kgs? They would be known as what, the super welters?
Yeah, super welters, because I admire their speed. So it's good to spar with them because they're quite fast, they're quite agile. So it helps me also with my reflex. Yeah.
Now looking at your experiences now, having fought in the upper divisions as a cruiserweight, now as a middleweight, how has that, because you mentioned about the speed and that, what's the competition like locally in the pro scene?
In the pro scene, there's a lot of competition because most people at the moment are transitioning from the amateurs and coming into the pros. So I consider amateur to be quite intense because the number of punches there is a lot. So people who have a name in the amateur and come to the pro, it's going to be a tough fight. Yeah, that's how I see it.
By the way, there's something he's mentioned because of the number of punches. Na pia wewe umepiga ulisema mcheza novices na intermediate. It's 3 days na kila siku ni pigano na ni brutal.
Yeah.
How do you help them transition? Because in pro boxing, it's a minimum of 4 rounds. For somebody like him who's been doing 3 intense, how do you help them adjust?
Yeah, good question. When you look at it, these two things, the pros and amateurs, they are both boxing. But look at it for the layman to understand it. The amateur is a sprint. The pros is a marathon. So it's like you build the mental muscle to go the distance. Because, in amateurs, it's a sprint. You hit a lot, but it's just 3 rounds. It's 2 rounds. But you know that with the pros, your maiden should be 4 rounds, then you'll transit to 6 rounders, to 8 rounders, and then 10 rounds and 12 rounds when you're going for world champions. Now, I think that you have to build the muscle, both physically and mental. That's what we do. And you see, like, if we were to be doing sparring sessions for someone like Dalmas, I'll require him to go for 4 or 5 rounds with different boxers without changing. Those other guys, one will come and go, one will come and go, but I'll keep him as a constant. It helps him get the endurance and have the shifting gears with every different opponent. Yeah.
Dalmas, umefanya novice, umefanya intermediate, ukaenda pro. Alafu ndio unakumbuka, kuna raundi ya 4. Fight ya kwanza ulijitayarishaje?
Ya pro. Fight ya kwanza ya pro
ndio uweze kupiga 4 rounds.
Yeah, ndio uweze kupiga 4 rounds.
Unajua akili 3 unasema hii ni 3 kusonga.
Kitu nilikuwa najambia tu, yani ni kutafutia gas kwa wingi. Road work more. Yeah, kukimbia tu sana. Long distance kwanza sana. On Saturdays, yeah. Yeah.
Sasa Saturday unapiga kilomita ngapi hiyo umesema?
Kuna kutoka hapa hadi Kabete.
Kabete, sio Lower Kabete.
Yeah. Unamaliza unapita Lower Kabete unaenda.
That is a distance.
Yeah.
Ndio ni kukimbia asubuhi.
Hiyo ni kukimbia asubuhi, morning. 4. Naamka 4. Mnapatana na maboksa wenzako. Mnaenda kwa hiyo masaa pia huwezi enda peke yako pia. Kama sabia naoma. Yeah.
So, okay. Now, your transition, you've been an intermediate champion, Sam, and here you transition to the pro scene. What was the mental style that you tried to use to ensure that you got to where you are? You know, here you are at Charter Hall, 3 rounds, finished. But this is the first time and you've got to go 4.
So I had to improve on everything I did. I had to change everything I did, because considering it's now not the amateurs, I have to be have a lot more gas. I have to have a lot more of technique, and also to learn how to maybe become relaxed, because in the amateurs it's short. And every punch is coming at you, but in the pro they're a bit relaxed, and such things, to become mentally ready, I had to prepare myself for that. Yeah.
Okay, so Tuesday next week, the Nairobi fight night, it's going to be there. Dalmas Charlo here is going to be fighting against Salim Mirongo, and this is in the featherweight division. Sam Kogaluk is going to be up against David Ojode. This is in the super middleweight division. Razia Afzal against Blessing Aching. It's a women's fight. Remember, the women's fights, 2-minute rounds. For the men, it's 3 minutes. Then we've got another super middleweight fight, Zebediah Gogo and Rafael Nandwa. In the middleweight, Steve Olang and David Oluoch. Victor Koyo against Marvin Achola, Josiah Kimanzi, and Victor Ndera in the lightweight. Coach, just looking at this card and some of the boxers that you've seen, how would you describe what will be in the Nairobi fight night next week?
I think it will be very competitive. All boxers will be present, need to do adequate preparations. There'll be fireworks. There's matchups there that there'll be fireworks. I promise fireworks, because from my understanding of boxing and the names you've named, I know it's going to be very interesting. Yeah.
Okay. When you're preparing for fights, and I want each one of you to do it. For example, Dalmas, you're going to fight against Salim Mirongo. How do you study your opponent? Let me start with you, Coach. How you go look if you want to find out about Salim?
Yeah, I can maybe watch 3, 4, 5 previous matches, look at what he lacks, and try to capitalize on that as a game plan. Have your own plan, but have the contingency plans, if he may have adjusted that. As a coach, we help boxers to mirror what they are up against, then help them plan and try to be at the ringside to help them execute.
Haya. Yeah. Kusoma opponent wako, kama unajua sahi unajua ni Salim Mirongo.
Yeah,
kumsoma unamsoma aje ama unatuma jamaa kwa gym yake akachungulia?
Pana. Ni kuangalia tu mafight zake. Kama sasa Salim Mirongo unasikia ndo anaanza pro, ni kuangalia ma previous fight zake za amateur, venye yako nini venye anapiga zoezi. Ama pia naweza mtembelea huko nijue venye yako. Kabla hiyo siku ya fight ijafika. Yeah.
Okay. Now, you're fighting against David Ojode. How do you study your opponent?
So most of the time the same venye kila mtu anafanya. I watch the videos, but most of the work huwa naachia coach. I just concentrate on training. Coach ataenda analyze mistakes zenye, because coaches have an eye for boxing than the players. So yeye ataona mistakes zenye mimi maybe singeona, and then kwa gym we come and work on those things and perfect it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, and by the way, what goes on at the corner? Because you'll be there. I mean, there is a crowd. It's noisy.
Yeah.
But you have to keep giving instructions as the seconders. Just what goes on in that corner?
At the corner, you know, it's strange that we are not even seeing what the crowd is seeing. We have a different lens at the corner. We've got concentration on every move, every action and reaction from both boxers, and try to advise on undoings of the other boxer for your boxer to capitalize on that. And you know you're doing that in real time and at water breaks. So you have to be very attentive and record each and every event, punch taken, punch missed, failed footwork steps, negligence in defense, both from your boxer and the opponent. There's a lot that goes on at the corner. Yeah.
Okay. Na huwa mnasikiaje? Unajua I've done commentary and yes, I mean obviously I'll be put at a neutral corner. But you'll hear, wake up, chunga. And what how do you keep your eye on your opponent na bado unamsikiliza coach?
Kama boxer ukiingia pale kwa ring ni ngumu sana kusikiza watu wako nje. But the time ile kengele imepigwa, ukienda pale kutena kupea tu maji ndio unamsikiza. But ukiwa ndani pale una box ndio wanakuongelesha ndio, lakini kile yako iko huko na concentrate na ujamaa sana. Yeah.
Aye. Sam, yes. Ring management for you?
Ring management for me is basically the same. You have to concentrate on your opponent, because hii ndo kazi yako yenye iko hapa kwa saa hii. Anything else we try and minimize the crowd, and if I need advice from my coach, then I'll bring the fighter to my corner nisikie kenye coach atasema.
Okay, coach. Finally, one more thing. I mean, I'm looking at the screen. Showboating boxers. Now, we know, for example, like I've said, Jalo akona shatapa ya Muhammad Ali. He was known at one point to do that. Look at Okothia. How do you manage some of these flamboyant characters? Because utenda kushowboat, somebody will just put out the lights.
You know, at times, the fear is real with the coach. At times, the boxer who is doing that may not be aware of the risk at hand. But I would like to advise boxers, let's always stay safe in the ring. You'll give us heart attacks. Some of us, we don't look our age, we are old, but you guys can give us heart attacks, because I do think that safety first, and I would always advise that there's always life after boxing. I would like to meet these gentlemen, these boxers, after 10, 20 years and be maybe on a show like this and talk about boxing again, when they're in their current state. Not that they go into fights, take too much risk, be extravagant, throw caution to the wind. I think that some boxers give us a hard time. As cornermen, it's not a comfortable thing to go to second a boxer like that. It's stress, because you'll be at the top of your voice. This somebody who you're responsible for and is throwing caution to the wind. Anything that may happen there, you stand to be blamed because he wants to go all out and you want to intervene. You've got only one way to wave it out, and you don't think that's something he'll tolerate. So you let it slide, but I think that I would advise against that. Let's not be too cocky. Let's play boxing.
Aye, very well. So, Chalo and Sam, nyinyi ndo mtafunga Tuesday. Ndo siku Tuesday nights. Ambia watu, ambia wa Kenya. Chalo versus Salim Irungu.
Kwamba tu yani mafans watokea kwa wingi, wakuja waone nikifanya mambo hapo.
Sawa sawa. Najua aongei sana lakini tutaona kama Makonde ataongea. Sam, you will get the chance to give a closing word.
Yeah, so I give God the glory. And to my fans, make sure you get some popcorns because it will be interesting. To my haters, kujeni na handkerchief na tissue jumtalia. Yeah, stay strong.
All right, thank you very much. And it's two professional boxers, Samuel Guluk, who also goes by the name Mufasa. We also have Dalmas Chalo and Coach Ibrahim Ondo, who have all given us, an insight into this pro boxing scene in the country, and also the Nairobi Fight Night scheduled for Tuesday next week in Westlands, 7 p.m. onwards is when they will be fighting. The two will be in action, so we'll get to find out the results next week. So we shall have their fight cards, their results, and we'll know if they really are ready to give us that show. Asanteni sana, gentlemen. We take a break, and right now we'll be giving you the highlight of Kenya Police Bullets FC against Trinity Starlets. This result gave the Kenya Police Bullets another FKF Women's Premier League title, and they will also be playing in the Sekafa Zone qualifiers for the Women's CAF, for the Women's Champions League for Africa. So let's get those highlights, and also the FKF Women's National Super League, Kayole Starlets against Soccer Assassins. And after that, let's talk about people who beat the waves.
It has been a hectic season, not as smooth as last season was, but we thank God that we are here. The girls have tried, they've pushed themselves, and I will say that I'm very happy because the Kenya Women Premier League is really gaining something. and we can see that the competition is getting tougher every day. That's why in this season you've seen that we've won it, but with a difference of only 2 points.
I like the words. I like the words kupatiana. Okay, what I can give is just a fair assessment. Yeah, what tumekuwa able kufanya in the past 3 months, because we came in February, and when we came in, of course, I'm sure you guys by now already know the story. So many girls left the camp. Then we had to pretty much start a new team. So it has not been easy, but there's been progression for sure in how we play, in terms of the style, personnel.
Back to myself, unajua pia Mungu kupea kitu umeomba. Nakumbuka season ikianza, we prayed much about kurudi kwa Premier League than kucheza hii playoffs. But playoffs imekam, ni kama zone B imekuwa very competitive. Ukiangalia Gideons, Trans Nzoia Falcons, hizo timu zote za zone B zimekuwa too hard for us. But kumalizana na zone B ni kama iliweka watu kwa zone ya kurelax.
Season yetu ilikuwa ngumu kidogo, but kitu imetusaidia ni that tulianza pre-season mapema. Tulibring in players wale watusaidie, na tulianza pre-season mapema sana, so I think pia imechangia, preparation ya mapema imechangia sana. Na pia players wale tulipata waliamua wanataka kuja kutusaidia kupandisha timu ligi, na shukrani sana kwa the whole team.